All right, fourth grade, I hope you guys are ready for us to start our next lesson in math, which is lesson 5.3, problem solving common factors. All right, so we've been talking about the different factors that numbers have. Today we're going to talk about common factors. Common is if you have something in common with somebody else, that means that you guys have similar things, right? So something I'll have in common with my friend is that we both enjoy music, right? Something we have in common. So now we're going to talk about numbers that both have common factors, okay? So let's look at unlock the problem. Chuck has a coin collection with 30 pennies, 24 quarters, and 36 nickels. He wants to arrange the coins into rows. Each row will have the same number of coins, and all the coins in a row will be the same. How many coins can he put in each row? The information in the graphic organizer below will help you solve the problem. So let's look at what we are going to do step by step first. What are we trying to find? We're trying to find, well, let's look at the question. How many coins can he put in a row? So we're trying to find blank that can go in each row. So we're trying to find how many coins that can go in each row. So each row has what? So that each row will have the same number of coins and all the coins in a row will be the same. So we're going to write exactly what's in our problem. That's why we have to read our problem to find out what we're trying to find. So I'm going to write that. Wonderful. Next section. What information do I need to use? So we have to go back to our problem again. Chuck has what? How many different coins does Chuck have? 30 pennies, 24 quarters. Look at that. That's one of your spelling words this week. Quarters. And 36 nickels. Each row has what? Let's go again. Each row will have, we wrote that up here, the same number of coins. Wonderful. So we write the same answer for the second part that we wrote up here. And this bottom part, how will I use the information? I can make a list to find all the factors of, what are our numbers again? 30, 24, and 36. Then I can use a list to find the common factors. A common factor is a factor of two or more numbers. So this is our vocabulary word for this one, which is what I said earlier. Things that the numbers will have in common. So let's list the factors for each of these numbers. We did this in our last lesson, so it should be easier now. So let's think of factors for 30 going in order. We know that there's two numbers that every number has as a factor, which is 1 and the number itself, right? So let's start with 1. Now let's keep going. Is 2 a factor of 30? Yes, it is, because it's an even number. Remember that divisibility chart? That's what we're going to think of right now as well. Can 3 go into 30? Yes, it can, because 3 times 10 is 30. How about 4? No, 4 times nothing is 30. 5? Yes, 5 times 6 is 30. What about 6? Yes, 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, what about 7? No, 7 times 4 is 28, and 7 times 5 is 35, so no. 8? Again, no. 9? Nope. 10? Yes, we had said 3 times 10. So now let's just see with each number. So we have 6 times 5 is 30. 10 times 3 is 30. So what times 2 would give us 30? 15. Good. If you guys did that math in the side, that's fine. And then lastly, 1 times what is 30? That would give us 30, okay? So after we reach our highest number of numbers that can go into it, you basically go and see which number that multiplies by to get us the other factor. So let's do that for 24. We know that 1 is a factor, like we said. 2 is a factor because it's an even number. What about 3? Is 3 times anything 24? Yes. 3 times 8 is 24, so we do write 3 as a factor, and we know 8 is going to be a factor somewhere else. Okay, how about 4? Well, yes, 6 times 4, so we know 4 is 1 and so is 6, which will be a little bit later as well. Actually, 6 is next because 5 does not go into 24 because 5 would be going to 25, not 24. So now we have 6, and now we can go, since 6 times 4 is 24, and they're right next to each other, now we can go to the next number and see what will go here. 3 times what equals 24? 3 times 8. 2 times what equals 24? 2 times 12. And 1 times what equals 24? 1 times 24. I hope that made more sense as to how I found these so quickly. Next one. We know our first one is 1. Now we go to our next number. 2, does that go into 36? Yes, because it's an even number again. So 2, what about 3? Yes, 3 times 12. So 12 will be used again a little later. What about 4? Yep, 4 times 9. So 9 will also be used a little later. And 5? Nope, not 5. What about 6? Yes, 6 times 6. So we're not going to write 6 twice because, 6 is the factor that we need even if it's multiplied by itself, okay? So only write 6. What about 7? Nope. Well, let's think of it like this. Since our next number would technically be 6, and that's as high as we're going to go, now we can go like that little tree, that little pyramid way that I was talking about. So 6 times 6 would be 36. So 4 times what equals 36? 9. 3 times what equals 36? 12. And 2 times what equals 36? Well, if you did that on the side real quick, that would be 18. And lastly, 1 times what equals 36? 1 times 36. So now that we have all of our factors for each number, we are going to find which ones they all have in common. So this is the easy part. All you're going to do is circle which ones all three of them have in common. So they all have 1 in common. They all have 2 in common. They all have 3 in common. They do not all have 5 or 4 in common. So this, we do not write anything. They all have 6 in common. This one, nope. This one, nope, nope, and nope. So these right here are the only numbers they have in common. And we're going to write them down right here. The common factors are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay? So Chuck can put 1, 2, 3, or 6 coins in each row. Okay? Wonderful. Let's go ahead to the back and do one more problem together. Try another problem. Ryan collects animal figures. He has 45 elephants, 36 zebras, and 18 tigers. He will arrange the figures into rows. Each row will have the same number of figures, and all the figures in a row will be the same. How many figures can be in each row? So this is very similar to the one we had on the back of this page. We're going to use this graphic organizer to help us. So what do I need to find? We're trying to find right here. This is our question. How many figures will be in each row? Wonderful. Now, what information do I need to use? We're going to use how many animal figures he has right over here. And remember, we said that we were putting them into rows, and each row have the same number. Wonderful. And how will I use this information? Well, just like we did last time, we're going to make a list of all the numbers and all the factors that go into each number and find the common factors. Wonderful. So now that's exactly what we're going to do over here and solve the problem. We are going to find the factors for 45, for 36, and 18. So let's go ahead and start with 45. We know our first factor is 1. Next we go to 2. This is not an even number, so 2 will not be a factor. What about 3? Well, let's see. Let's go off to the side and divide real quick to see if 3 can go into 45 evenly. 3 goes into 4 once, that'd be 3, 1, subtract 5. 3 goes into 15 5 times, and we subtract, and we have no remainder. So yes, 3 times 15 would give us 45. So 3 is a factor. What about 4? Well, let's see. 4 into 45, 1, 1, that gives us 4. 0, 5, 4 goes into 5 once. We have a remainder, so no, 4 does not go into 45. What about 5? Yes, this ends in a 5 or a 0, so yes, it is a factor. What about 6? Nope, nothing times 6 gives us 45. What about 7? Nothing times 7 gives us 45. What about 8? Nothing times 8 gives us 45. And the next number will be 9, and we know 9 times 5 gives us 45, so now we can go and do our little ladder. So 5 times 9 is 45. 3 times what equals 45? We did it right here. 15. And 1 times what equals 45? 45. There we go. We finished it real quick. Let's move on to 36. Our first one will be 1. Our next number is 2. Does 2 go into 36? It's an even number, so yes. What about 3? Yep, 3 times 12. What about 4? Yep, 4 times 9. What about 5? It does not enter 5 or 0, so nope. What about 6? Yep, 6 times 6. And this is one we had in the back, so we know that that's as high as it goes, and because 6 times 6. So technically there's another 6 here, so we can do our little ladder. 4 times what? 4 times 9. 3 times what? 3 times 12. 2 times what? 2 times 18, I think it was. And 1 times 36. So those are our factors for 36, just like we had over here in the front. Just like we had over here in the front. Now 18. Our first factor is 1. What about 2? Oh yes, it's an even number. What about 3? Well, 3 times something, does that give us 18? Yes, it does. What about 4? Nope. What about 5? Doesn't enter 0 or 5, so no 5. What about 6? Yes, 6 times 3. So now we can do our ladder. 6 times 3 is 18, so 2 times 1 equals 18. 2 times what equals 18? 2 times 9. And 1 times what equals 18? 18. So we have all of our factors for the 3 numbers given to us. Now we have to circle what they have in common. Well, they all have 1 in common. Do they all have 2 in common? Nope. Do they all have 3 in common? Yes, they do. Do they all have 5 in common? Nope. Do they have 9? Nope. What about 15? Actually, you know what? They do all have 9 in common. We have 1 9 here. We have 1 9 here and 1 9 here. So this might be a little bit more confusing. Let's go down the row like this. 1, they all have it. 3, you have it here, have it here. Yes. 5, have it here. No 5 here. So that means it's out of the running. 9, we have it here, and we have it here. Yes. 15, we have it here. No 15 here, out of the running. 45, none here, out of the running. So these are the only numbers they have in common. Okay, so I know I was doing it like this at first, but you see how they're not lined up for this one? So it got a little confusing. So let's just go down the row next time, just like how I did it the second time, to make sure we're not missing any numbers. So Ryan can put 1, 3, or 9 figures in each row. Okay, so if that was a little confusing, just go back and watch it again. My only advice is to go down one row and make sure they all have it in common, okay? Each number. That way you don't miss anything. All right, so that's our lesson for today. Your assignment on OneNote is to do the extra practice, okay? I'm not doing the on your own in the book because that's way confusing and I don't want to confuse you guys, okay? Do it step by step just like we did here. Get the numbers, put down their factors, find the factors that they have in common, and that's it, okay? So on your own, on OneNote, go ahead and do extra practice 5.3, okay? Good job, guys.